the river of life that flows through the three provinces of Gyeongnam, Jeonnam, Jeonbuk, the Seomjingang River. The clear, clean nature, countless organisms and human life combining it into one as the Seomjingang River. Now, Seomjingang sends a message towards all of humanity. Due to an environment where freshwater meets water from the sea, several organisms, both freshwater and marine fish, live in the Seomjingang River estuary. And there are people who have lived with this river for a long time. The Seomjingang River, a gift of nature sent from the heavens, containing nature's blessing, is now bringing the attention of the entire world. The reason? These marsh clams. The Sontul hand net gathering of marsh clams taking place in the Seomjingang River estuary. Active attempts are taking place to register it as one of the globally important agricultural heritage systems. Because these activities that are part of the daily lives of the people here have a value to be remembered and preserved by the entire world as a heritage. When spring comes, the residents of Seomjingang come to the estuary to meet the marsh clams they have been waiting for so long. The gathering of marsh clams usually takes place between mid-April and early November. They say that the clams of spring, June, ahead of their spawning season, are the fattest and most delicious. The clam from upstream, in relation to the bridge with more fresh water, have a chewier texture, whereas the clam from downstream, with higher salt content, are said to be softer and have a stronger taste and scent. Thus, large numbers of fishermen can be seen gathering marsh clam in areas with the right mixture of salt water and fresh water. The marsh clams also have a fast-growing rate. Even recently spawned clams of about 1 millimeter grow to astonishing sizes only after a month. Before beginning the task in full swing, a tuning of the tool is necessary. This tool, about as long as the height of a person, is the korengi, the core of marsh clam gathering. The majority of the fishermen here are taking part of the Sontul fishery by using the korengi to gather clams with their own hands. Mr. An Jun-an, who has worked in this field for 7 years. Korengi is slowly walking backwards in the river while holding the korengi. Although it might seem as just walking through the river, this is a task that requires strength, skill, and perception.
바닥 지형에 맞춰서 이렇게 긁어준다는 느낌으로 파인 곳이 있으면 똑같이 파고 올라가는 곳이 있으면 똑같이 올라가고 바닥 지형에 맞춰서 천천히 긁어준다는 생각으로 작업을 합니다. 그리고 그렇게 하게 되면 자연 생태계도 더 좋아진 것 같아요. 바닥에 깔려지는 침전물, 퇴적물 이런 게 또 정화가 되는 그런 원리라고 생각하는데요, 저는.
The meaning of marsh clams in Korean is gray clams. They are also known as river clams because they are clams from the river. Living in riverbeds of abundant sand and clear flowing water, marsh clams are known as the smallest clams in South Korea. During summer, they dig lower, and in the winter, they dig deeper under the sand. Using the rake at the end of the korengi, the carving of the riverbed brings up stones and sand along with the marsh clams within. Here, the sand flow away through the gaps of the rake, and only the clam remain behind. Since stones and sand are dragged along, strength is necessary. And to perceive the marsh clams hiding in the riverbed, one needs to understand the shape of the floor. A great deal of time and experience is necessary to develop the skills for the Sontul fishery system. And once the korengi is lifted up, exquisite marsh clams are on the menu. After putting the korengi in a large basin and gently shaking it in the water with a slightly slanted angle, the initial sorting takes place. As tiring as this is, it's also very rewarding. This method of gathering using the cutting is said to be good for the marsh clams and nature.
깊게 파서 계속 가는 게 아니고 살살 틀면서 바닥도 긁어주는 거예요. 그러면 경운 효과라 그러죠. 이렇게 그 산소도 잘 들어가게 되고 이런 땅이 좋아지는 거야. 이런 지혜를 터득했다는 거죠. 얼마나 가치가 있냐는 거죠.
The 손틀 fishery system, along with nature, is a traditional method that has been passed down from old times. The material of the tools have changed, but this method of gathering clams, gaps of korengi while protecting nature, is continued to this day. The width of the gaps of the rake of korengi is about 0.6 centimeters. This width was decided by the fishermen so that young marsh clams pass through and only large clams are caught. When many clams are out, or when they taste the best, one could come out in boats and catch them all in nets. Yet, although the catch doesn't fill up the basin, the people of Seomjingang believe it's more important to preserve the clams and fish sustainably, because they believe they are temporarily sharing this gift that nature has provided for them. Mr. An says he often realizes how difficult it is these days to preserve the environment he has lived in for future generations. He believes he has found a way through the way the fishermen of Seomjingang preserve nature and protect its inhabitants through the traditional 손틀 fishery method. They say there are also rules to the processing of these marsh clams caught while protecting nature. The purging of clams is said to be the best when it is not done through artificial methods, but as naturally as possible. Is this due to the ways of nature? They say the purging of marsh clams is easier when they are caught with the 손틀 method than when they are caught in mass with nets on boats. Marsh clams are clean enough in their natural form. They are rinsed with natural purging methods and several washings. Then the shell and the meat are separated by placing the clam in water boiling at 100 degrees. This separate meat is then washed mechanically several times and finally rid of impurities by hand. Due to the careful attention and effort required, this method takes more than 7 hours. Because barriers that separates the sea and rivers are far away, the Seomjingang River estuary forms a brackish area where saltwater and freshwater meet. Thus, freshwater and saltwater fish meet to form a diverse ecosystem. Given that they are affected by water supply and soil and water quality, marsh clams can be a standard for the condition of the Seomjingang River. Therefore, there is now a movement for the protection of marsh clams and the Seomjingang River that contain them. This movement is the effort to register the 손틀 fishery system for gathering marsh clams on the globally important agricultural heritage systems. It has already been designated a part of the Korea Important Fisheries Heritage Systems in 2018. Then, is it valuable enough to be registered on the globally important agricultural heritage systems?
지리산과 그다음에 섬진광 그리고 바다 이 세 개가 관통하면서 사람들과 어울려졌던 그 유산 그게 뭘까? 제첩이다. 그리고 유산의 가치가 너무 좋은 거예요. 자, 그럼 이 말은 무슨 말이냐면 남겨주고 싶을 만한 후대한테 남길 만한 가치가 있는 게 유산이라고 그러죠. 그 유산 가치 있네. 이렇게 본 거죠.
It does not merely belong to its inhabitants. It is a heritage we should all protect. The ecosystem treasure that the entire world should protect, the Seomjingang River. It is now time for the world to pay attention.